A Chesterfield father died after being shot in the head. First, police said there was no foul play, but his daughter told us she saw the killer. Now, after 2 years of our investigations, the case is finally being called a homicide. His family's reaction tonight.
It has been an emotional roller coaster.
Daddy did the water.
There's a renewed sense of peace and joy at this Chesterfield home Wednesday night.
I was told that they are reclassifying the case as homicide and that there was absolutely no way that Nick did this to himself.
Words Melody Clavier has been waiting to hear for 2.5 years. Since the October 2015 day, police said her husband, Nick, accidentally shot himself driving with his 4 children inside their car that would crash into these Chesterfield woods.
We were going so fast because his foot was on the gas that blood from his head was going everywhere. I was covered in blood.
Terrifying moments Michaela Clavier has replayed since the day the then 9-year-old watched, as she says a man pulled up next to them on Hull Street Road and shot her father.
I heard a loud noise and I saw my dad slouched over the thing and I saw this car speeding off and I saw the guy in the car putting what looked like a gun away, from out of the window.
A story this now 12-year-old has maintained since the day she watched her dad die. But Clavier's death certificate tells a different story.
I thought this would be something I would have to fight forever.
Melody regained hope after police changed the status of the case from clear to pending last May after a CBS 6 investigation revealed ballistics determined the bullet recovered from Clavier's brain did not match his gun. In the year to follow, police would clear the path for new clues that eventually would lead them to reclassify the manner of Nick's death from undetermined to homicide.
I think that it is really very big of them to be able to look at me and, say that they're genuinely sorry for the fact that it has taken this long to get this answer, to get this ruling.
I know my dad loved me, so he would never put me in danger. It was very hard to think that people would think that he would put us in danger like that. And I am very relieved now that people know that he didn't put us in danger, that it wasn't his fault. A peach tree that my dad grew.
These children can now focus
He built it.
on the reminders of their loving dad that surround them,
He built the patio.
while police focus on who was responsible for taking him from them.
They robbed us of a lot. It has been an emotional roller coaster. Obviously, I would like for there to be a form of justice and I would like to be able to, look somebody in the eyes and ask why.
It's a walk Melody Clavier has taken every month for the last 2.5 years. But this time, it's different.
We finally did it.
Emotions flood this widow as she speaks those long-awaited words of accomplishment over her late husband's headstone.
Nicholas Nick E. Clavier, 1983 to 2015. Beloved husband and dad.
The big news that Chesterfield police now confirm what the Clavier family knew all along, that the father of 4 did not kill himself. He was murdered.
Based on the new information we have from some of the new testing and witness statements, that's led us to this point to reclassify the case.
A case that opened in October 2015 as an accidental death investigation after Clavier was shot in the head while driving on Hull Street Road before crashing into these woods with his 4 children inside the vehicle.
Even from the most intimate moment when I had to sit them all down and tell Daddy wasn't coming home, the very first words out of my daughter's mouth was, "Did they catch the guy that did it?"
Nick and Melody's 9-year-old daughter, Michaela, was in the passenger seat of that car.
He was a really nice man. He didn't deserve to die.
She would relive that day last May after a CBS 6 investigation revealed that ballistics had determined that the bullet retrieved from Nick's brain did not match his own gun, a weapon that police had found inside the car. A year has passed, but the now 12-year-old story remains the same.
I saw the guy in the car pointing a gun, and then I heard a loud noise. Blood from his head was going everywhere. I was covered in blood.
The case would be changed from cleared to pending after that initial report. A year and several developments later, Nick's undetermined death is now classified as a homicide.
We're exploring some theories which all have basically the common denominator that the actual bullet that struck him came from outside the vehicle.
Michaela was one of several witnesses who helped Chesterfield's Unsolved Major Investigations Group come to that determination.
With the assignment made to UMIG, it's going to be slow, thorough going, and even stuff we've looked at before will be looked at again so that we can try to do this right.
I'm way better now than I was 2 years ago. Now that I know, people actually, are listening to me and people actually care.
As are Clavier's other 3 children.
Daddy did the tar.
Who can now focus on these positive memories that surround them.
Dear Daddy.
Instead of the painful ones that have haunted them.
It's hard. I know he's watching, and I know he's proud of us, and I know he's happy that we've fought for him.
And they will continue to fight for this fun-loving dad and won't rest until justice is served for the father, whose reputation they are grateful has been restored.
And I know my dad loved me. He would never put me in danger. Whoever did it, they should tell somebody that they did it, instead of just sitting around knowing that they really hurt a family. They stole my dad, which was pretty much half my life.
And we'll keep fighting till it's completely over. And we'll keep looking until someone's found or I'm gone.
Investigators say they are going to, quote, keep after this case until they find out what happened. They are confident they will solve this with the public's help. If you have any information, you are asked to call Crime Solvers. Meanwhile, Melody just received news that Nick's death certificate has been officially changed from shooting himself to homicide. Working for you in the studio, Laura French, CBS 6 News.
Because now I don't have to live in fear.
Clinging to their father's belongings, these Chesterfield children feel safe for the first time in 3 years.
We know who killed your daddy.
News Michaela Clavier has been waiting to hear since October 24th, 2015. The day the then 9-year-old says someone pulled up in this vehicle she would later sketch, pointed a gun at her dad, and shot him before their car crashed down this embankment off Hull Street Road with her and her siblings inside.
There was some road rage activity that happened on Hull Street that day, which led to weapons being brandished and a shot being fired, which eventually led to him being struck with a bullet and killed.
3 years and several theories later, Chesterfield police say a reward by the ATF produced a credible tip, which led them to a witness who led them to determining the man who pulled the trigger was Jerquel Cheatham, described as a violent, wanted criminal.
I became very emotional when they showed me a slide to put a face to such a difficult day. Was more than a little overwhelming. A lot of emotions fill you as a mom and a wife. To know, undoubtedly, this is who changed our lives forever.
Nick's death was ruled an accident after that life-changing day, but later ruled a homicide after a CBS 6 investigation revealed the bullet in Nick's brain did not match his gun. But Tuesday, investigators say it did match the weapon used in a homicide that took place hours after Nick's, when Richmond police say Mark Jefferson's life ended on Powell Road.
We were able to piece together a comparison at the state lab on bullet fragments from one case and compare them to ours, and we found a match on the weapon.
Cheatham would be murdered inside this Richmond nightclub 3 months after police say he killed 2 men in 24 hours, and before this family could express what he took from them.
He stole more than Nick from us. He stole our security. He stole our sleep. He stole parts of our minds that will never be right again.
I would tell him that he basically ruined my life. I would tell him that he ruined other families' lives. He hurt a lot of people, including my family.
A family who has spent the last several years fighting to be heard.
I needed to know what really happened. I needed to be able to look my child in the eyes and say, I believe you. I just wanted my answers. I just wanted somebody to take what my children had to say seriously.
I am very relieved that now I know I was right and everybody else knows that I was right, and they finally solved it.
We heard the family's concerns. We did look at ourselves and ask some questions, and we did give it to the UMIG group to investigate, which they did, and it's led us to this point.
The point of closure for this family that will cling to each other as they navigate this next chapter with a new sense of security.
I am very relieved that he won't be able to hurt anybody else, and he won't be able to hurt any of my family again.
I keep it close to my heart.
Barbara Clavier never has her son Nick far from her heart or home.
One thing I really treasure is he had made a copy of his hand.
Reminders of her second born line every inch of her Chesterfield residence, inside and out.
I can come out here and talk to Nick.
As she did the morning of October 24th, 2015.
Yeah, it started out normal.
When her son and his 4 children stopped in for a visit at Grandma's before heading out on a fishing trip.
They had come over to spend a few hours here.
Barbara was about to find out it would be the final few hours she'd enjoy with her mama's boy.
I got a call that there had been an accident.
Less than 7 miles from his childhood home, Nick would be shot in the head while driving before crashing into this tree with his kids inside the car. Barbara received word a short time later and rushed to the hospital. She still remembers being approached by a nurse when she arrived.
The first thing she asked me was, did I think that Nick was suicidal? He did not do this to himself. And I said, I can tell you that 100%, he did not do this.
Before Nick would take his last breath, Barbara made him a promise.
I hugged on him and kissed him and, told him how much I love him and that I was so sorry that this had happened to him. I said, Nick, you know what they think that you did. And I said, we know you didn't, even though they don't believe us. If it takes forever, we will clear your name.
That day would come almost 3 years after that painful moment.
There's no way that this gun could have shot this bullet.
And close to a year and a half after a CBS 6 investigation revealed ballistics determined the bullet in Nick's brain could not have been fired from the weapon found in his car.
I saw the guy pointing a gun when I heard a loud noise. I looked over, I saw my dad. He was bleeding and blood was going everywhere.
We'd learned the identity of that guy on September 25th, 2018. 4 months after reopening the case as a homicide, investigators announced that Jerquel Cheatham fatally shot Nick Clavier during a road rage incident in which both men displayed weapons.
It's the car that I saw when I was riding off the side of the road after my dad had just been shot.
Police say 21-year-old Cheatham fired his gun out of the passenger seat of a car that resembled this sketch Michaela drew of the vehicle. Forensics would also link Cheatham to a murder in Richmond just hours later.
It's been a long, very long, difficult journey. As a mom, I can say this is the hardest thing that I've ever been through. And I would not wish this on any mother.
Cheatham won't face charges because he himself was shot and killed inside a Richmond nightclub in January of 2016. Barbara recalls watching the coverage of his murder on the news.
I remember thinking, oh my God, that mother, I feel so sorry for her because I know the grief that she's going to have to bear. And I did not know that her son was the one that murdered my son, but that still does not change. I forgave him for killing my son and because I knew my son was safely in heaven and that his name was finally going to be cleared and the rumors would stop.
Up above with his father.
It says, Dad and Nick miss you.
Who, along with Nick's family and publicity, she credits for restoring her son's good name.
And I felt like that his dad was up in heaven being the deputy sheriff that he is, and he was pushing investigators to get this solved because he wanted his son's name cleared.
And now that it is on the 3rd anniversary of the darkest day of her life,
he was always smiling.
This mother can focus on the 32 years of memories with her adventurous, smiley son.
He was very much so a protector.
Who was always looking out for his family, as they have done for him these past 3 years.
I feel like this year we can finally relax, we can feel better, we know that the case is solved.